Destiel's technically canon now. I say technically for a reason. For those of you who don't know, Supernatural is the CW show that's been airing since 2005 about Monster Hunter brothers Dean and Sam Winchester and their cavalcade of highly disposable friends. I could tell you more, but I'm guessing that if you're watching this video, you either are frothing at the mouth in a very disappointed fashion, or you absorbed enough of the show through cultural osmosis and have a general understanding of what it is and what it's like. I wish I had your confidence there, because really, what are we even doing anymore? There's an episode where Dean's just a dog. There's one where they hang out with Scooby-Doo. There's an anime series. But, to stay on target, Destiel is a ship between Dean Winchester, a hyper-masculine monster hunter with severe trauma relating to his relationships with the people around him, as well as his highly violent and stressful job, and Castiel is an angel from heaven who, although originally tasked to only raise him from hell, stuck around as he slowly began to realize that Dean was really the most human person he had ever gotten to meet and was breaking down walls he didn't even know he had in the first place.
I'm not, Hammer, as you say. I have questions. I have doubts. I don't know what is right and what is wrong anymore.
This was the first week that he met him! Now, you could say that a large reason that Destiel got popular in the first place was due to the fact that Supernatural is a show with a very small cast when it comes to exploring relationships between characters. I mean, for 3 or so seasons, with the only reoccurring characters being basically father figures in some way or another, Wincest, a ship between the two main brothers, was the most popular relationship in the community, which is honestly not a great look. So, with the introduction of Castiel, this effectively added another doll to the playset, so to speak, and people flock to that. That could be the reason why Destiel is so popular. However, is it? Is it really? You could say that lonely gay people on the internet will just flock to two men or women standing right next to each other and say that they're gay and also in love, and you're right, and you cannot stop me. But here's the thing. Maybe there'd be less people thinking that these characters are gay if every goddamn person in the room stopped saying that they were gay.
I mean, shouldn't it be Destiel?
Really? That's your issue with this?
He has his weakness. He likes you.
Go ask him. He was your boyfriend first.
Arguably the most powerful instrument in the history of the universe is in pieces, and for what again? Oh, that's right. To save Dean Winchester. That was your goal, right?
Sorry, you have me confused with the other angel? You know, the one in the dirty trench coat who's in love with you?
And two, how is it that you lost Dean? I thought the two of you were joined at the... you know, everything.
The stench of that impala's all over your overcoat, Angel.
You gave us order, Castiel, and we gave you our trust. Don't lose it over one man.
He's in love with humanity.
Like, that's the thing, really. There are ways to write platonic relationships. There are ways to write romantic relationships. There are ways to write relationships that transcend both. There aren't any hard and fast rules per se, but there are certainly ways to just bungle that shit up, including, I don't know, everybody thinking you're in a relationship becoming a running gag, classic rom-com trope.
Dean?
Shut up, Fitz. Get in the car.
An abnormal amount of staring, like you could cut away at any time, any day now. Oh, now's good. The consistent statement of how special this specific relationship is compared to the character's relationship with other people.
Dean calls once and now it's...
Hello?
Yes.
So what, you like him better or something?
Dean and I do share a more profound bond. I wasn't gonna mention.
But I'm thinking maybe it's time you made a call.
Why is it always gotta be me that makes the call, huh? It's not like Cash lives in my ass. The dude's busy.
Cash, get out of my ass.
I was never in your...
And even, what's this? Having people who are in committed, usually gay relationships, dress up as the two of you? They did it 3 times, to be fair, and I think that's at least too many times. But I guess they were intending it to be romantic all along, so good job, writers. What you were intending all along after 11 seasons of potential relationship development. You stick what could potentially be the culmination of a very tedious arc into the last couple of episodes of your 15th season. Not like there was at any point where you could have stuck a love confession in sooner, like, oh, I don't know, maybe like season 12?
I love you.
Or season 8?
I need you. I need you.
Or even season 4, like... But surely it can't be that bad, right? It isn't like Misha Collins is trying to give the performance of his career as he explains how he's satisfied with his life, but there's always been this one thing he can't have, and that he cares about Dean, the same way he cares about Sam and his son, who I think is in hell, while Jensen Ackles stares blankly at a wall for a solid 90 seconds before Castiel confesses his true undying love.
I love you.
And dies, and then just gets sent not just to hell, not just normal hell, but super mega hell! A hell worse than hell! There's been a lot of talk about this scene as a whole. A lot of people find the thing funny. Some are really trying to hold out hope that there is really more to it than meets the eye, and many are just grateful that this isn't the only gay representation they have to look to anymore. Or, at the very least, they can find some classier queerbait shows to watch. If it wasn't for the fact that Supernatural had such a vocal fanbase and that it lasted for as long as it did, this moment could have easily gone unspoken of, like dust in the wind. But think about it. Think about it really. Destiel really could have been great. I mean it. Dean Winchester is a man built out of nothing but contradictions. A hyper-masculine man's man, yes, but also a man who is forced to spend his entire childhood as a maternal presence to his younger brother is a great example for this. As even when Sam has proven himself to be a capable adult that had the same militaristic childhood that Dean did, Dean still can't stop playing parent to some degree. And I specify this as parent and not just older brother for a reason. This manifests in the way that even after so many years spent fighting monsters side by side, there's still a level of him that believes he has to handle everything on his own, because he is the foundation for his broken family, and if he crumbles, everything else will fall apart. Because he believes he has to handle everything on his own, he's constantly having to face the ugliest parts of himself alone. That, and of course, the years of trauma that echo through his bones in a cacophony he can never really stop from hearing, even to this day. The blunt instrument of his father, nothing more, nothing less, who has been told the only worth he has as a person is in the level that he can protect Sam. Another cruel irony, faced with a life where he is a protector who cannot protect himself. To make it more simple and clear, because that was a lot of nonsense that I just should have made a Tumblr post about probably. Dean is this somewhat repressed individual who struggles with self-hatred and the idea that other people value him as much as he values other people. Of course, there's more we could add to this reading, but we're going to focus on that. These are issues that Dean has struggled with for years. Seasons upon seasons of arcs where Dean refuses to be honest about how he feels and he hides his struggles for the comfort of not just others, but himself. This could be thought of as the writers not knowing how to progress Dean's character from that point, but there is a legitimate argument that could be made that the reason Dean keeps struggling with these issues is because he's never been in the proper environment to resolve these issues.
At least this way, something good could come out of it, you know? It's like my life can mean something.
What? And it didn't before? Have you got that low an opinion of yourself? Are you that screwed in the head?
Of course, there is some minimal progress here and there, but...
My father was an obsessed bastard! All that crap he dumped on me about protecting Sam, that was his crap. He's the one who couldn't protect his family. He's the one who let Mom die. Who wasn't there for Sam. I always was. He wasn't fair. I didn't deserve what he put on me.
But without being able to push that boulder forward, it simply rolls down the hill again, awaiting the next boost of self-esteem to send it careening back up the hill, never really reaching the top.
You're gonna die. And this is what you're gonna become.
I think Dean wants to be better. On some level, I really think he does. But he's really not in so much as the state of mind to even begin thinking about doing so he remains as he is. A self-hating, deeply repressed man. One who, I think even after all these years, still longs for a distant past where he was still able to convince himself that if he did this or that right, if Sammy stayed safe and sound and happy, he'd finally get everything he's always wanted. A thing I don't even know if he really knows exactly. Cass is different. Castiel is very far removed from all of this on some level. At least at first. The world the way the Winchesters see it is a very rustic Americana sort of setting. Long shots of highways leading to nowhere, old motels where the beds always have a few unmistakable lumps in them, kitschy restaurants that all claim to boast a different theme, but serve the same slight variations on the same couple of burgers. You know, the vibe. When we see Heaven in Season 4, it gives off a distinctly different vibe. I describe it as your Polish grandmother's house that's covered wall to ceiling in practically nothing but glass tchotchkes that if you step on the wrong part of the floor at the wrong time, you will break something and face the wrath of a god. That feels a little too specific and personal, but the vibe is there. And it couldn't be more different unless it tried something that was just real off the wall. Castiel is an angel, created for the literal purpose of being used as a device for Heaven's ineffable plan. However, Castiel has always been different from the other angels. He's not like the other girls, of course. Different in a way that is highly abstract and difficult to explain, even before he began doubting the true righteousness of his path that's literally been given to him by God. Other angels considered him strange on some imperceptible level even before that, and I know I'm not explaining this well, but surely there have been some times where you're surrounded by people, even people you know and love and care about, and you're aware of this unfathomable distance between you as yourself and them as a group that tells you that you just really don't fit in, but that you could fit in, you're just not trying hard enough. And now that's really your problem, isn't it? That's the kind of difference I'm talking about. Of course, being able to blame it on lacking social skills and an undying fascination with humanity is far easier than that abstract mess of debilitating anxiety, so that's generally the line of thinking that follows the character. Not fit to stand among angels, never having the easiest time acclimating to Earth, despite humanity being a fruit in the Garden of Eden in its own right, an impossibly delectable temptation that escalates into an act of free will.
So spare me your contempt, Castiel, the self-hating angel of Thursday. You know what every other version of you did after gripping him tight and raising him from perdition? They did what they were told. But not you. Not the one off the line with a crack in his chassis.
Because that's what it really is. A single taste of humanity, and he's hooked. Something yielding to temptation, something he is the only version of Castiel that has acted in this specific way in relation to a specific, strong relationship to humanity, making him the only version of himself to truly possess the capacity for free will, even when he doubted that it was ever even there. Bringing up Cass's difficulties with socializing as well as his love of humanity isn't just listing off character traits. These aspects of him are really directly intertwined. His love of humanity has always manifested itself in Cass struggling to do what he thinks the most human person in the room, Dean, would want him to do. Even, and especially when, Dean didn't or wouldn't even ask those things of him.
I'm doing this for you, Dean. I'm doing this because of you.
Because of me.
Dean, I do everything that you ask. I always come when you call, and I am your friend. Still, despite your lack of faith in me and now your threats.
I rebelled for this! So that you could surrender to them. I gave everything for you. And this is what you give to me.
Because those are the same things Dean would do for anybody else. In his first couple of appearances, he comes off as quite surly at times. Very short, cut, and dry about things, but at the same time, we're quick to learn that he's very deeply conflicted about the part he's forced to play mere weeks after his first contact with humanity. To the point that everybody around him realized that this was a reduction that they had to pull the plug on fast.
My superiors have begun to question my sympathies.
Your sympathies?
I was getting too close to the humans in my charge. You. They feel I've begun to express emotions, doorways to doubt. This can impair my judgment.
So, to sum it up, Castiel is an angel, an unfathomable, celestial entity whose first exposure to the world at large fascinates and frustrates him all the same. Something he may have thought at one time would be so easy to understand comes off as so confusing once all the distance between the two of them is dispersed. He finds himself in this eternal place of walking a line where he can never really truly be the angel or human he wants to be, or anybody else wants him to be either. Always stuck between two worlds that haven't always been particularly kind to him, and always ask the impossible of him. Castiel only really knows love in one form, and that is sacrifice. Maybe he learned it from heaven, maybe he got it from Dean, maybe it doesn't really matter at all. The point is that Cass is a very confused character, never really being able to do the right thing at the right time, or being the thing that the people around him want him to be. But the people who truly care about him still let him try. And try, and try, and try. Now, you might be wondering why I spent 12 or so minutes giving these two characters effectively a psych evaluation. Beyond it just being remarkably fun to really take into account how much quote-unquote development these characters have, and how much more could have really been done with that, this is to set up for the main stage idea I wanted to get across. Consider this as a concept. The love story between a self-hating, non-religious man and an angel who saw something so beautiful, so pure, so worth saving, that he himself died 1,000 times over just for him. That was the relationship that could have been set up with Castiel's first appearance in Lazarus Rising.
What's the matter? You don't think you deserve to be saved?
This is the first time these characters have really interacted on screen together. And in about 5 seconds flat, Cass is able to read Dean like an open book. And there's this sense of confusion you can see as he realizes the depth that Dean truly despises himself and everything he associates with himself. From there, we could have had a narrative of Dean seeing the same values in himself that Cass so clearly sees. Such an arc could legitimately take some time in the narrative, as, without the means to change his material conditions, recovery could be considered near impossible. But having this being so separate from everything he associates with a life he never really got to choose, could give him that escape that he's always been denying himself. Basically, a route to happiness. Season 4 wouldn't even have to play out that differently, as Cass grows conflicted as he finds something that makes him question his faith. Something that should be basically unbreakable given his role to play in it, as he finds something different to worship, and struggles to communicate what he's doing to someone so unaware of what his actions really mean. Even though sacrifice is effectively the way that the Winchesters show that they care, this is like an entirely different dialect in a love language, after all. What does it mean for Cass to sacrifice everything as an immortal present when the universe itself was created? It isn't understood as an act of love because, to the Winchesters, to Dean, if he had the ability to do all the stuff that Cass does and endure things that would kill a human person 1,000 times over, he'd do it in a heartbeat. So it all means nothing to him.
I killed 2 angels this week. So my brothers. I'm hunted. I rebelled, and I did all of it for you. And you failed. You and your brother destroyed the world. And I lost everything. For nothing.
Everything he sacrificed. And I was about to ask him for more.
Of course, there is this other piece of the narrative of finding religion in the person you love most, no matter how you were raised, and I do think that's a major part of Dean's relationship with Cass, that he can't even begin to comprehend the significance of as an angel.
I'm praying, okay? Come on. Please.
Prayer's a sign of faith. This is a good thing, Dean.
Cass and Dean, well, Dean at least, was originally part of a larger plan. A larger plan that would still go on whether or not Dean had a Catholic faith, so there was never any emphasis on converting him. Cass doesn't really care either way if Dean believes in God, but on some level, I think Dean cares that he doesn't. He makes sure to emphasize that he prays to Cass. Not God, not some other angel or deity. Cass specifically. I think this is a specific way to basically imply that Cass is Dean's religion in a very Hosier way, if I'm allowed to take it there. I swear it, I really swear to it, that the pieces are there. And if put together in the right way, I think it could have been really something beautiful. Shows that take themselves far less seriously than Supernatural, like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, communicated this beautifully. This mesh of the complicated feelings related to how being gay and being raised religious can just utterly tear you apart inside, as you feel like 2 different worlds are trying to destroy you. And it isn't even about choosing a side anymore, because no matter what side you pick, you'll always lose. Maybe this is just a long way for me to say that being raised Catholic really messed me up inside, as this is the only piece of media that makes me consistently cry, but I really think that Supernatural had laid the proper groundwork it needed to be that impactful, to be that deep. They had so many opportunities, 11 years worth in fact, to make a statement, a strong statement, about conflict of faith and finding it in the strangest of places, a struggle with self-worth, a story about love in all its forms and sacrifice, and finding new ways to say that you care. But they didn't. Destiel just really could have been great, is all I'm trying to say. Of course, I can't crucify the writers for not making those choices. Supernatural just really isn't that kind of show. And even if it was, if I spend 15 years working on this same television show where at least half of the people are tuning in just because they want some very sad men to kiss, I don't know how deep in the sauce of my religious trauma I'd be willing to drudge up to really just ruin those people's lives. But then again, I am very willing to do all those things, so rip to them, I'm different. With all seriousness now, I don't blame the Supernatural writers that much. It's life. I don't care. It's been years. It's been years. I guess the thing here is that I was able to read into all of this. I was able to do so much with the text available to me, but does that credit belong to me or the text really? I would have never come up with this specific narrative without the text, but I would have come up with a new narrative. A different narrative. A narrative that drank more respecting women juice. The text does not need me to interpret it any more than it needs anybody else to. We do not need each other inherently, but to have this conversation at all, we need each other more than ever. Should I have to reward a text for saying that it could have been that deep when it was me who had to take out my shovel and dig? Or did they have multiple holes dug already, and I was the asshole who decided to dig in their yard because I already had that unspoken permission to do so? My point is, we really could have had... But we got... instead. I'm not going to say that they should have just stuck to staring, but at least Jensen is good at that. Thanks for watching, and I apologize if the reduction of this video seems especially slapdash. I wrote basically the entire thing the day after it happened, and I wanted to get it done relatively quickly as to not lose my nerve. Posting things online can be scary. I do legitimately want to clarify that I don't think I was legitimately looking for Supernatural to do this kind of tragic, dramatic narrative, but the fact that it was set up so perfectly that if you just tilt your head to see it, it makes me just a little bit sad about what could have been, but I guess that's life. I might do some more videos like this on my channel that I made just to talk about how Destiel should have been a legitimate religious experience. So, if you have anything you think I'd be interested in, or any topics you find especially interesting, let me know, I suppose. I don't think I'll be doing a lot of Supernatural-related videos, what with the series basically over at this point, but now that I've been forced to remember that it exists, I do kind of want to complain about it. So, if you really sat here and listened to me say the last half hour something of words, for what? Then please, feel free to subscribe. There'll be more opportunities to come for me to continue to spew random bullshit. I guess. So, goodbye for now, I guess.